We interrupt this to show you our giveaway for the month of November. Check out the Instagram link in the bio where you'll find details of how to enter and have a chance to win some BamfordRose merch. This month we're giving away a BamfordRose fleece, t-shirt and mug. Welcome to BamfordRose and another question of the week. This week it's a question about what measures you should take if you're putting your car away for a prolonged period of time over the winter storage. So I've got a list of things that I would do and recommend, and I'll go through them, and they're in no particular order. First off, tyres. To prevent a flat spot, pump them up to 50 psi. I've been caught out myself on cars that I've had stored, and it's surprising how short a time at a certain temperature it takes to flat spot some tyres. Just 3 or 4 weeks at a temperature hovering around 0, and if you're unlucky you'll have flat spotted your tyres and they seldom recover. So pump them up to 50 psi and they're unlikely to flat spot. You could help the situation by, instead of parking the car on cold concrete or whatever surface your garage is, then put some unwanted carpet sections underneath each tyre, and that will help keep the tyre a little bit warmer. Next one, if your garage wasn't sealed, if it was open a little bit to the elements, it's going to get a little bit cold in there. Perhaps it's going a little bit OTT on care, but every little helps. I'd take a product like this, Autoglim Rubber and Vinyl Care. Now that's got a really high silicone content, so what I'd do is spray that onto a rag and I'd wipe that on all rubber seals. So this is going to be the boot seal, the 2 door side sill seals, the primary door seal and the outer sill seal, and the 2 bonnet weather strips leading down the front edge of each wing. It is normally the start of the spring season that we see this, but each year we see a good few cars that have been damaged by rodents. They really love to climb up into the engine. They like to nest in the valley and they like to chew on certain wires. Maybe they're attracted by different smells from antifreeze or different wires, because there's always the same things that they chew through. Rodents tend to crawl along edges, so I would put traps down on the edges of the garage walls, and then I'd put traps down on the inside of each of the 4 tyres. Next thing, definitely have the car on a trickle charger, but I'd make sure the car isn't suffering a tracker failure, which was consuming lots of battery voltage. All you'll be doing there is the tracker consuming the battery voltage and the trickle charger putting the voltage back into the battery. So you'll have a nice bill at the end of a few months of what it's taken to charge the battery unnecessarily. Now, I see people advising quite often to brim the fuel tank. Well, that's probably the best advice, but be really careful what you brim it with. You don't want to brim it with a fuel that's got a high percentage of ethanol in. By high I mean 1%, and then leave that for 3 or 4 months. So what I would do is run the fuel down to whatever you're comfortable with. You know, when the trip computer is saying 0 miles, you've probably got about 5 litres left in the tank anyway, which is good depending on how you drive, for at least 20 miles really. So I'd get it down so that there was 0 showing on the trip computer. You know, instead of saying zeros, it would just have lines through it. And then go and fill up with SO Synergy. They've just released a 99 octane version, and although that says E5 on the pump, there isn't any. They were forced to use that branding by government legislation. So that fuel has got 0 ethanol content in, and that means that if you've brimmed with that fuel, when you come to start back up in 3 months time, whatever it is after storage, then you're not going to suffer the effects of the ethanol separating itself out of the petrol, dropping to the bottom, maybe attracting some water, and that initial start probably having some misfires on. So brim the tank, yes, but brim it with Esso. If the garage isn't sealed, then I wouldn't have any sort of heating device in there, because that can attract or develop moisture. What I'd actually do is get a decent quality dehumidifier in the garage. Dehumidifier I use in my garage cost me about 200 quid, and it needs emptying every other day. You know, it's quite amazing how much water it can suck out. So go for a dehumidifier. And in terms of laying up the car, that is all of the measures that I would take. Now, I wouldn't be starting the car up during the period that you've got it stored for lots of reasons that there's no point going into here. I think that causes more harm than it does good. On your restart though, crank for oil pressure first. If you don't know how to do that, go and look at one of our previous videos where we explain how to crank the engine without it firing so that you can extinguish the oil pressure light, and then when you do start, the engine has already got full oil pressure in the main gallery. Hope those tips help, and I hope you enjoyed that question of the week. As always, it really helps us if you can like, comment and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you on the next question of the week.